the exact hours.
Okay, because I wasn't clear on it, but I somehow looked up, Mr. Chair, the hours, and I believe the bylaw says 9 to 11 a.m. and 7 to 9. In other words, after people go to work in the morning and after the supper hour. Okay, thank you for that, Lee. My last question, Mr. Chair, and these last four were left over from last week. We ran out of time. I apologize, folks. I want to go back through you to Mr. Criddle. I want to talk about Oakwood Cemetery and the south fence. I am getting still complaints from people who go to visit their loved one or have a funeral service along the fence that backs up to, and they're talking about 2 or 3 houses in particular, no fault to the resident, that are right there. And I did go over and walk that fence line, I guess a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago. There is a chain link fence, and again, it just doesn't seem right that my loved one is buried here, and where the county manager is sitting, people are on their deck, or maybe just a little bit further, but not much. Poor planning. We had this debate and this discussion way back when that Satia development was before us in site plan and rezoning. I suggested, and I'm not saying this just because it was myself, but I do recall bringing it up, this county needs to consider negotiating for a 50-foot or 30-foot buffer zone to plant evergreens or something. That did not get support, and that's fine. Do we need a solid fence along there eventually, if not now? Mr. Cridlin, what's your thoughts on this? You certainly know that cemetery well. Do you have any thoughts on this?
To Mayor Luke, yes. The plan is to, I believe the fence is in and there is some, the wood chips are in, there are a few smaller trees and plants, is to plant that in heavier as the years go on. We do have a small budget this year, which staff have spent, and I don't know if you recall through the budget process that was skimmed back. We'll be coming next year for some money for planting trees there. So let's hope to have like a living fence someday to actually fill that in, and that should happen within the next year and a half.
Mr. Chair, did you say a fence has been installed? Like, is there a privacy fence?
The chain link fence that you were referring to, yes.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, folks, but if my loved one was buried there, up against somebody's backyard with a chain link fence, I can see more people it's upsetting. There's no, through the chair, Mr. Gridlin, there's nothing in the works. This council hasn't approved anything in the way of a solid fence, a wood fence.
Through the chair, no, not to this at this point. We were planning on going with trees and vegetation to fill it in that way. But we can revisit that. I can have a look as early as this week and talk to staff.
Yeah, okay, I got some people to get back to, but they're a little upset about this, and you know, the cemetery was there before these backyards and patio decks were laid up, and the backyards are not big along that north edge of that development. They're not. So, thank you, Mr. Chair, for that. I know there's no easy solutions.
Me for a minute, Mayor Luke. I remember when that was brought to this council way back, and big mistake not getting more land as a buffer, but I understood that there is a bit of a buffer, maybe 30 or 40 feet, and the fence, I hope, was installed in the right location. It was to go at the back of the property line. I hope the fence wasn't installed in the wrong location. And there is no fence way to the west. The fence is only on the east end. And it was to be a chain link last I remember it was discussed, but I've had the same complaint, the reason I'm asking.
It's not good. Go up and visit. It's
yeah, I know.
Not good.
But what about the west end?
Through the chair, I believe the west end, I'll have to recheck the 218 budget, but I think it's going to be in the capital budget to extend to the west. You are right, it is very limited where it is now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, probably the same complaint, and I did speak to Mark Boerkamp this morning at length about this, and he did indicate that there is a small amount to do the west end, because that's just all trees planted there. So, but still, it would be the chain link that's being installed at the moment. I don't think there's any houses there, but there probably will be soon. And it is unfortunate that council didn't support something, I guess, more solid, or because it is very upsetting to not everyone, but there are people that are very upset by it. And I'm sure I got the same call as the mayor, and I felt really bad for this lady. But anyway, thanks.
Thanks, Bill.
Staff, Mr. Johnson,
Nothing to add, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Griselle,
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Baird.
Very briefly, Mr. Chairman, in light of Councillor Black's comments about being shortchanged with berries, Mr. Tom Haskett has delivered a couple of flats that were just picked late this afternoon. So he welcomes everyone to grab an extra one on your way out there. They're a few hours fresher. Anyway, we thank him for that.
Who's going to get the other flat?
County Manager.
I'm happy to report that this time next week, you will have the opportunity to discuss two significant reports. The first is, of course, the reserves report coming from Finance. The draft is a 63-page document. It has considerable detail, a wide number of suggestions, modifications, analysis. I suspect you'll certainly find that it to be a robust document. You'll also, I suspect, need a lot of time to discuss it. Secondly, and as importantly but quite different, you will be receiving the report dealing with development services pursuant to council's instruction from, well, at the moment, 5 weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks next week. That is a fairly significant document as well, with a large number of recommendations and potential changes that you may also probably want a significant amount of time to discuss and debate. I think it's highly likely that the mayor will be asked to exercise his authority to start that meeting early. At any rate, those are two major reports you'll be seeing for the first time next week. Thank you.
Jill.
Thank you. Just very quickly, I've accepted a new position in the county manager's office, as most of you may know. I started yesterday, so this is my last CIC. It's been an honor to serve as a deputy clerk in this temporary role, and I thank council for your support and what you do around the table and also out in our community. Working with and learning from the clerk and all staff in the council services division has been a privilege, and I'm so very thankful for the opportunity. So thank you very much.
Mayor Luke.
Mr. Chair, my apologies to Jill because I actually had it down as under other business to congratulate
Go
her.
ahead, sir.
Pardon?
I said go ahead if you
Yeah,
want.
I am just going to, on behalf of council, congratulate her on her new position. I'm thinking she's going to be able to get along with myself. We'll see. But I know that she will serve our county manager in our office very, very well, and I hope everything works out real well. I know it will, but really pleased to see her on board. So on behalf of council, well done and congratulations. My apologies, I missed that.
Mr. Cridlin.
Nothing this evening.
Ms. Robinson.
Nothing this evening.
Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.